Hey everybody, it's Cooper here, and this is going to be my answer video to my 500 subscriber question and answer kind of deal that I'm doing here. I would have loved to do a contest, but right now um, I just basically don't really have anything. Um, you know, I've done a couple contests before. I've always wanted to do a question and answer, so I figured 500 subs would be a good point. My next milestone, I definitely will be doing a contest, so I guess be happy for that and be on the lookout. So um, I think I'm currently at 560 subscribers now, which is amazing. I want to thank you guys all once again for all the support and all the comments. I really appreciate it, and it's really what is driving me to make these videos. So I don't know how many questions I have here. It's not too many. Um, Probably just about one page's worth, but we got some good ones here. So I'm just gonna start off with the first comment I got, and then go through. I copied them all to a text document here, so if the computer's kind of shaking like this a little bit, it's because I'm scrolling through the text document here. So our first question comes from Bubba Sizer, and he says, "How many games do you have?" And I think right now I'm currently, well, the last time I checked, I was right at about 700. I know I've gotten more since then, so maybe 750, between 7 and 800 is my guess. And second question is estimated value of your collection. This is actually something that I've been wanting to kind of go through and figure out. I'm wanting to go through all my games, look up how much they're currently going for, and when I look up how much a game's going for, I basically go to eBay and I search for the cheapest buy it now of that game. Because when I sell on eBay, I always put my game up the cheapest buy it now, and I usually sell everything I put up. So that indicates to me that if I can sell them for basically that much, that's basically how much they're worth, at least to me. So I've been wanting to go through all the games I have, which would take forever, and kind of figure that out. But I haven't yet. Um, if I had to estimate, I would say five figures, but I don't really want to go into too much detail. I mean, I have I have over 700 games, and I do not have any cartridge-only games. I don't have any disc-only games. Um, the worst thing I would have is something missing the manual. But I've got I've got close to 100 N64 games, close to 100 Super Nintendo games, about 60 or 70 NES games, and these are all complete in box. Most of them are in pretty good shape too, and I have a lot of expensive games, so I don't know. We'll just say five figures. Our next questions come from Sprites and Bytes, and he says, if you could merge any two games to make a super ultra mega hyper fun game, what would it be? Um, if I could merge any two games, I would probably have to say Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine. And the only reason I say this is because those are two of my favorite games. Super Mario 64 being my favorite game of all time, and I mean, I love Super Mario 64. It's an amazing game, and it is fairly long, but I would love it to be longer. So if you could take Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64, mash them together, and have just the longest Mario game ever in the style of both of those games, I think that'd be awesome, and I would love to see something like that. I know that's not a great answer, so if I had to take two games that are completely different and kind of mash them together, um, let's see. I would take just something that would be super awesome. I don't know. Banjo-Kazooie is a really awesome game. It's also one of my favorites. If you could take that and maybe, um, I don't know, some kind of RPG, um, maybe like Final Fantasy or Golden Sun or Sword of Mana, maybe something like that. Merge it with like Banjo Kazooie or Kirby 64, and kind of make a Paper Mario-ish type of game out of like Banjo-Kazooie. I think that'd be kind of cool. His second question is, if you had 3 wishes, what would they be? You can't wish for more wishes. Congrats on your 500 sub reach. If I had 3 wishes, my first wish would be to I would love to have the superpower to freeze time. Um, basic in my opinion, if you can freeze time, you can basically do anything and get anything. I mean, there's really no limits on what you can do if you can freeze time. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And I guess my next wish would be I'm gonna kind of do these wishes like if I had one wish, I'd pick this 3 times, because if I can freeze time, I don't really need 2 other wishes. So my other wish would be probably I'd probably like to have enough money to live very comfortably, and not have to worry about money, not have to worry about going to school, not have to worry about anything like that, because I am in school, I am in college, and money is kind of a stressful thing, and as I'm becoming older, it's just becoming more stressful, and something that everyone has to deal with when they grow older and move out and everything. So I'd really like to have a life without the burden of stress and without the burden of worrying about money and bills and all that. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And then a third wish would be a very simple one, and if everything in my life was exactly the same, I was still going to school and I was still living with Cassidy and everything, I would wish a very simple wish would be that my room would be bigger, because you're only seeing a small corner behind me, but I have a king-size bed in here, and one entire wall is taken up by 2 closets, so I can't really I have stuff in the closets and everything, but I basically have 2 walls because of the closets and because of the bed. I have 2 walls where I can put shelves and games and stuff like that, and it's rapidly filling up. I only have room for 1 more shelf right now, so that would be a cool thing. A very simple wish, but yeah. Next question comes from Non-Tubers, a very good friend of mine, and he says, would you as a parent support this hobby if your child was collecting in this magnitude, even if it was causing financial problems? I know for me, there have been points where I have found a good deal on something, and I have gone ahead and bought it, knowing that I would have to sell it in a certain amount of time to, say, pay a bill or something like that. And I'm pretty sure that's what he's referring to as a financial problem. And I would support my child collecting in this magnitude, but not if it's causing financial problems. I know for me, if I know like when a bill is due, say, and I have the money, and then I see like a huge bundle of Super Nintendo games on Craigslist for a great deal, I know that I can buy those and easily sell them on eBay and get more than I paid, obviously, and it's not so much of a problem if I'm smart about it. I'm not if I have a bill due, I'm not going to go buy a bunch of N64 games for my collection that's going to put me below what I need to pay. So I don't know. I guess I would support a child collecting this much, but not the way that I am, only because it would be my child, I guess, if that makes any sense. And then he says, show us what you would consider to be a mint box, and what is the worst condition box you have. So, before the video, I went through and I read the questions and pulled out stuff that I would need to show. So, the mint box I'm going to show you is Super Metroid for the NES, or for the Super Nintendo, sorry. Take it out of the box protector here. Hopefully my camera is gonna pick it up. It is a webcam, but it's supposed to be HD, so I'll try and show you. Super Metroid. You can probably see the glare on there from the computer. You can see there's no indents, there's no scratches, rips, anything. It's in great shape. This is what I would consider to be a mint box. I'm sure maybe somewhere in my collection there is one maybe equal or better than this, but when I think of my best condition box, this is the one I always think of. So yeah, Super Metroid, that's complete. And then I have a few bad condition boxes. I really try not to keep those ones in my collection. But if it's a game that I don't have that's complete, I will keep the box until I find a replacement. But I've got two here that are pretty bad. One's an N64 game, one's a Game Boy Advance game. So I'll start off with the Nintendo 64 one, and that's PGA Tour, or PGA European Tour. As you can see, there's a sticker up here. There's stickers right there. It's pretty crushed, as you can see. And there's a sticker right here, and it does not stay closed. You can probably see that. That is pretty messed up right there. And when I try and close it, it just kind of does this until it opens. So this is a really horribly conditioned box. Fortunately, it's not a really cool game or anything like that. So, you know, I'm not too worried about it for the time being. I will find a replacement someday, and it's a super cheap game to find complete and everything. So, for now, this will do. The other one I have, I bought this game off eBay. I don't know why I didn't return it. I bought a bunch of games from one seller. It wasn't that long ago, but they were all stock photos. But I was only looking for ones that said in very good condition or like new, to kind of protect myself from getting a crappy one. But for some reason, this one was listed as very good. I don't know why I didn't return it, but I just decided to keep it because all the other ones were in pretty good shape. But that's Rocket Power Zero Gravity Zone. As you can see, it's got a huge price tag right on the front there, which I've tried to take off. If you can see on the edge, like right here, I've tried to take it off and it's not coming off. So that is basically there. It's crushed, as you can see, pretty bad. It won't stay closed on the top, and the bottom is it stays like this. It won't close all the way. It's ripped right here, and it's just in bad shape. The front is crushed, and it's not just crushed. It's actually like right here. If you can see that, or you can probably see it right there. It's like there was something inside the box that was like this, and then here's the cardboard, and it's like they put it like this and pushed it down right here. So there's like a bump, and there's multiple ones of those all over the box. So I don't know, this is just a really bad shaped box. I don't know why I didn't return it, but I'm not really worried about it. Once again, it's not one of those really awesome games, really expensive games. It was maybe like $5 at the most. So our next question comes from Younger Gamer 1, and she says, "Congrats on 500 subs. How many systems do you have?" And then she said, "I have those same shelves in my living room." She's probably referring to these ones. Before I answer a question about these shelves, I've had a lot of people asking questions about the shelves and about the box protectors on the games. So I've literally replied to over 10 comments just about the box protectors. So I'm just going to clear that up right now. These shelves are Atlantic Oscar Media Towers. I've got one here, one over there. You can get these at Target, I know for sure. I think you can also get them at maybe like Walmart or depending on where you are, Fred Meyer or someplace like that. I got both of mine off Craigslist. I paid $20 for one of them, $40 for the other. They're $90 at Target. At the Target by me, they're $90 new. So if you're looking for shelving, I would definitely say try Craigslist first. That's where I've gotten every single one of my shelves in here, and I've gotten basically good deals on all of them if you consider how much they go for new. So that's where you can get the shelves. Once again, it's called an Atlantic Oscar Media Tower. And then about the box protectors, I'll show you that Super Metroid one again. This is as you can see, there's the box protector on it, and these are great. They're let me take it out so I can show you just the protector. Here's what it is, and as you can see, it's not hard plastic. Like, you can bend them. Like, if you have one of these on a game, it's not going to protect it from getting crushed, but it is going to protect it from everyday shelf wear and dust and stuff like that. So these are great to have. And where I get mine, I've done a lot of research. I waited months before buying any, trying to find the best deal. And the best deal that I can find is if you buy at least 50, it's from videogameboxprotectors.com. And the guy that runs the business is really nice. I've talked to him through email a lot, even not even about protectors, just talking about games. He's pretty cool. And yeah, so far I've ordered probably around 200 or so, maybe up to 300 box protectors for NES, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and Game Boy. So I would definitely recommend checking that site out, and if you're trying to protect your games, I mean, that's a great way to go. So back to the question from Younger Gamer 1. She said, how many systems do you have? And I didn't actually count this out before, so let me do this right now. I've got an NES top loader, and I'm only going to count the systems that are actually in my collection, because I do have some others that I have to sell and stuff like that. So I've got an NES top loader, which is not boxed, unfortunately. I've got a boxed Super Nintendo Model 1. I've got a boxed Virtual Boy. I've got a boxed Nintendo 64. I've got a boxed GameCube. And I've got my Wii, which is not boxed. I've got my PS3, which is not boxed, but I'm also probably going to be selling that before this video gets up. I've got my Xbox 360, which is not boxed, my PS2 Slim, which is not boxed, my PS1 Mini, which is not boxed. So that's 10 right there. And then I have 2 boxed Game Boys, 3 boxed Game Boy Advances, 1 boxed Game Boy Pocket, and 3 boxed Game Boy Colors. So that's 19 systems that are in my collection. On top of that, right now, I've got 2 other PS3s, a fat PS2, a Leapster 2, an original Game Boy, two Game Boy Advances, and a like a VTech kind of thing. So those are the systems I have, and so 19. Most of them are boxed, most of the Nintendo ones, but unfortunately, with the Wii, the Xbox, and the PS3, I did buy them used, and even now, no one keeps the boxes for things, which is ridiculous, but whatever. Next question comes from Handyman907, and he says, do you make enough money off what you sell to pay for the games you keep? And in some cases I do. Sometimes, I will go, if I go to the pawn shop, let's say, or I go to Goodwill, or the flea market, if I go there, I spend a few hours wherever I am, and I come home, and I have a backpack of games. Usually, sometimes in those cases, I will be able to sell the stuff that I bought to resell, and that will be able to pay for the games that I'm keeping for my collection, but I definitely have not made more than I spent on this collection. because there's plenty of times when I would get like $100 from whatever, and I would go on eBay and buy, some Nintendo 64 games that I needed. And so in certain cases, I will, like, certain trips will be paid for by the games I bought, but not the entire collection. Next question comes from Classic Metal Fan 22, and he asks, what is your rarest Super Nintendo game? And I actually have two here. I picked these up in Vancouver a while ago in a big bundle. If you guys remember, I had 2 or 3 videos where I bought stuff from one seller, and he was a collector who was basically selling off his entire collection because he was having a baby, and he needed money and room and all that, so he was getting out of the collecting. And I bought his NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Sega Master System, Sega CD, 32X. I bought everything he had for those systems, and then also a few other things like Ogre Battle Complete for the 64, a Sega Saturn game, and he threw in my sealed Robotech Battlecry limited edition for the PS3, and just like little extras like that. But I basically bought his other collections in their entirety, and most of the stuff was boxed and complete, so that's where I got like my complete mint and box Dragon Warrior 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the NES, stuff like that. So a lot of the expensive stuff I have for NES and Super Nintendo came from him, and it was also an amazing deal for everything. So these two games here are probably worth half of what I paid for his entire collection, and I paid $900 for that. For all the stuff, I gave him $900, and these two games are probably, at least a third of that. So I'll start off with the one that I think is maybe a little cheaper, and that is Wild Guns. And this is complete. It does have some wear on the edges and everything, but it's not crushed, which is pretty cool. This game, when I first got it and I looked it up, I don't remember there being any complete copies on eBay, but there was one for like just the box, and I think it sold for $75 to $80, and the cartridge was, I think, between $50 and $80. So I kind of figured that it was worth maybe $150, but now that I looked up again about a week or two ago, there are complete copies on there, but the cheapest is like $200. So my guess is it's worth between one to $200, somewhere in there. So there's that one, and then the other one is Hagain. This one's also complete. Hagain: The Final Conflict, I should say. Once again, this one does have some wear on the edges, but not crushed. It's in pretty good shape. And when I first got this one, I looked it up, and the cheapest on eBay was like $275, $280. And that was the only one that was complete. Now that I look it up, when I looked up Wild Guns a week or two ago, I think it was somewhere around $200 as well. So originally I thought Hagain was worth a lot more than Wild Guns for complete copies, but now that I look them up again, it looks like they might be worth about the same. I would still say Hagain's worth a little more. If you look up a list of rarest Super Nintendo games, Hagain's usually on the list, and Wild Guns, normally isn't, from what I've seen. So I would say Hagain is probably my rarest, and then Wild Guns is probably a close second. Rarest or most expensive. Next up is a question from El Clavo 1995, and he says, "Congrats on 500 subs, man. Here's my question. What is the first system you ever owned, and what inspired you to become a collector?" the first um, home system that I remember having is a PlayStation 1, and then after that we got a Nintendo 64. But I remember having Game Boys. I had an original Game Boy and Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket. Um, but even before we had the PS1, I remember playing Super Nintendo at a friend's house, at multiple friends' houses. I remember playing Super Nintendo. Um, Yoshi's Island is probably one of the first games I ever played on the Super Nintendo. And so, but the first system that we really had was the PS1. And I used to play Medieval and Tomb Raider with my dad a lot. He really liked those games. And around the time when Pizza Hut was doing their little promotion where if you buy like a certain thing, you get this free PS1 demo. And I used to have all those, and I used to play Ape Escape on the PS1 demo. I remember that. And I used to play Spyro the Dragon. But then when we got the 64, we sold off all our PS1 stuff, traded it into Game Crazy, which obviously I'm regretting now, but that's what kids did back in the day with their games. And we had Super Mario 64, Pilot Wings, Mario Kart, Zelda, tons of games that I still love today. And I think the Nintendo 64 is really what got me into gaming, because I remember after that I saved up my own money when I was a little kid, bought a GameCube, bought Wario World, Animal Crossing, Super Mario Sunshine, Super Smash Brothers, all these games, and I didn't start collecting there, but I did enjoy games. I kind of got out of it for a while, but then I started hanging out with my friend Zach, and we started. I don't even know how it happened. I think what happened was I had some games in my room that were just kind of packed away. I had a Sega Genesis under my bed. I had a Nintendo 64 with a couple games, and I decided to look up on Craigslist to see if anybody was buying that kind of stuff. And I found a store that was looking for inventory. They were always buying games. So I started going to Goodwill with my friend and buying games and stuff like that. And that's what really got me into collecting, because ever since I started going to Goodwill, and I was only getting games to resell then, but from then on I didn't really stop buying games. And then I had a decent collection going, and then I sold most of it off to buy a MacBook. And then my plan was, when I got the MacBook, was to start again, which I did. And now I have all these games. When I started collecting again after I got the MacBook, that's when I decided to only get boxed stuff. So after I got the MacBook and I started my collection, I still had a few games left over from before. I had my boxed Mario 64 and Zelda, and then I had Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Super Nintendo and a couple other Super Nintendo games that I hadn't sold off. But yeah, I would say if I had to choose a specific answer for what inspired me to become a collector, I would probably say YouTube, because I was buying games to resell, but I wasn't really saving anything. I wasn't collecting until I started watching YouTube videos of people doing pickups and stuff like that, and then that really got me into collecting. And I haven't actually been collecting that long, if you think about it. It's probably, when I first started, even before I got the MacBook, it's probably only been about a year, or maybe a year and a half at the most. So I'm definitely very happy with where I am so far. So we'll just see how this year goes and see what happens. So the next questions come from RomsteinFan234, from my friend Matthew up in Canada. Great guy. He says, "Congrats again, bud. You're definitely one of my favorite YouTubers/channels. Smiley face." So I really appreciate that. Obviously, I watch him all the time. He said, "My questions are: what is your weirdest story you have from buying a video game deal off of Craigslist, etc.?" I would say one of the weirdest deals, it's a positive weird, is I had some games for sale on Craigslist, and I had someone contact me. They wanted some Super Nintendo games, maybe some N64 games. So they came over, and I sold them a few racing games for the 64, Final Fantasy 2 for the Super Nintendo, just a couple of games, and I gave him a good deal because he was buying a few. And then I'm on YouTube, and I'm watching a video of someone, and I'm looking at the person, and I'm like, wow, that guy looks so familiar. I'm pretty sure I've seen him somewhere. So, but I just kind of shrug it off because whatever. So I just comment on his videos. I'm watching them, and then I get a message from him saying, "Hey, I bought that Final Fantasy 2 from you off Craigslist." And I was like, it clicked in my head. I was like, holy crap, that's the guy I sold the games to. And it turned out to be non-tubers. And um, that was crazy for me. Like, I could not believe that because the closest person that I had met on YouTube, the closest person that lived to me was Vulgar Screams, and he lived like up near Seattle, which is like 4 hours away. Um, so it was super exciting for me to actually know someone that makes gaming videos on YouTube that lives so close to me, and in the same town, like within biking distance, which was amazing. So from then we started hanging out. We have those 2 videos we did together. We've gone game hunting more than that, but we made those 2 videos of the days we hung out. Unfortunately, I met him right before I moved here to Florida. Obviously, we're still in contact though, and everything. But it would have been cooler. It would have been cool to meet him sooner, so that we would have had more time to go game hunting and stuff together. Because I think that was just one of the coolest things. Because I don't really have any real friends that actively go game hunting every day, and are always excited about getting games and everything like that. I mean, of course, I know people on YouTube that do it, and I do have a couple friends who are always buying games and stuff, but they don't make videos and stuff like that. So it was really exciting for me to actually meet someone off YouTube and be able to go game hunting with them and make videos with them. It was a really cool experience, and he's a really good friend now. Second question is, what game do you think you have spent the most hours playing ever? And I would have to say any of the Pokemon games from Game Boy, being Blue, Red, Yellow. I played Silver, Gold a little bit, and then I've played Leaf Green and Fire Red a bunch. But I would have to say those because I played those when I was a little kid, like back even before I had the PS1, I think, and I played them on and off until I played Blue a couple months ago. So that's probably definitely one of the games that I've put the most hours into combined ever, and I have no idea how many hours, but I just remember playing that game all the time, all those games all the time. Our next question comes from Vinny's Rap Game Snaps, and he says, "What got you into collecting retro games?" Yeah, just like I said, basically YouTube and buying games to sell is what really got me into collecting. The next question comes from Nog Rules. He says, "Dude, congrats on 500 subs. On average, how many hours a week do you spend on YouTube?" And for me, I actually spend a lot of time on YouTube. I watch all your guys' gaming videos. I know I don't comment on a lot of things, but I do watch a lot of videos, and I thumb up basically every gaming video that I watch. So if there's a way you can look at my liked videos, you're going to see all your guys' videos in there. But I spend a lot of time. As you guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm more of a collector than a gamer. I do play games, but I'm not playing like every day for hours, like a lot of people do here that collect. So when I'm home, most of my time is spent watching TV, or I'm on Facebook, YouTube, eBay. I post on a Nintendo 64 forum, so I spend a lot of time on the computer, and YouTube is probably probably the most visited site that I go to. I spend the most time on YouTube out of anything, is my guess. So I don't have an hour count, but it's definitely a lot. Next question comes from Jacob Rocks 100. He says, "Congrats on the 500 subs. If you could become any video game character, who would it be?" And for me, hands down, it would be Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. Um, it might be super nerdy to say that, but anyone has to agree with me. A world where Pokemon are real would be amazing. And, you know, when you're a kid, you kind of wish that it would be real. And, you know, I think it would be awesome. So that's gotta be my answer. A world with Pokemon would be awesome, so I'd like to be Ash. Next question comes from LVPepe38, and he says, "Congrats on 500, buddy. What is your favorite gaming memory?" Um, my favorite gaming memory would have to be playing games with my dad when I was a little kid. Um, I was fortunate enough to have the kind of parents who are not against video games. They would buy me games and stuff. It's not like I get the newest game all the time, but we had a PS1, we had a Nintendo 64, and we would go to Game Crazy and trade in games and get new games and stuff like that. So it was, looking back, it was really fun. I wish we had done it more, but like I said, he used to be into Tomb Raider and Medieval, so um, he used to be playing those games, and I'd watch. He played Parasite Eve 1 and 2. Um, I'm not sure, can't remember anything else he played, but he did play all the Tomb Raiders. Played Resident Evil a little bit, I remember that, but he played Parasite Eve 1 and 2, and Medieval 1 and 2, and he used to watch me play Super Mario 64, and we used to play Mario Kart and Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that, and it was a lot of fun, so that's my favorite gaming memory. Next is from BizNez17. He says, "I saw some of your drum covers. How long have you been playing drums for, and do you play any other instruments?" I'm 21 now. I've been playing drums since I was like 4 or 5. My dad's a guitar player. He was a musician. He's been in bands since the 70s. And a little bit of backstory here. He was actually in his most recent band. It was when I was like 1 or 2. I was just born, and I think I was 3 actually. I was 3 years old. He was in a band called Infrared, and they were actually offered a record contract by Columbia Records, obviously a huge record company, and my dad turned it down because he wanted to have another baby, and basically they said if you sign this, you can basically kiss your family goodbye for at least 3 years because you're going to be in the studio, touring, all that kind of stuff, and he wanted a family instead, so he chose that. So I've been playing drums since I was a little kid, a baby basically. Now that I'm in Florida, I don't have a drum set here, which kills me, and I don't really play anymore. I would love to, and I am looking for a band, but I'm looking to do vocals just because I don't drive, and I love playing shows. I would love to be in a band right now playing some shows. So I am actively looking for a band, but not for drumming. Drumming is my main instrument, and it always will be. But I do play a little bit of guitar. I used to play guitar. The first band I was in, I played guitar. Every other band after that, I've been doing drums and vocals. I'm not a bass player, but I can play bass. I play it like a guitar player would. I mess around on the keyboard a little bit, but I'm not good. Yeah, I guess I just play the main instruments that a normal band would play. So that's about it. Next question comes from Lucky Sixpence, and he says, "What is the rarest game you have found in the wild?" The rarest game that I found in the wild. It's a tough question. To me, in the wild means not from eBay, and not from an online source, and not from a video game seller. So to me, the wild is Craigslist, Goodwill, stuff like that. So I think the rarest game that I found is probably Super Mario RPG. I found it at Goodwill for like $2.99 a while ago, and at the same thing, I also found The Lost Vikings 2. that was the same day at the same place. So I think that was probably the rarest game I found. I found multiple copies of Zelda Collector's Edition for the GameCube and stuff like that, but I think Mario RPG is probably the rarest. I've also found at Goodwill for $1, I found Ogre Battle March of the Black Queen for the PS1, complete black label. That was a pretty cool find. Actually, now that I think about that one, it was at the outlet. I found Final Fantasy XI online for the PS2. It also came with an expansion pack for it, and also the PC version. And they were $2 each, so I spent $6 on them, and I regret it now. But this was before I was collecting PS2. I put it on eBay, sold it for like $97. So that was probably the rarest game I found in the wild. Was the Final Fantasy XI online with the Vanadile expansion pack for the PS2. Cost me $6, sold it for about $100. Pretty good deal, although I'd love to have it back now for my collection, of course. Next question comes from Ian and Anthony Rocks. He says, why do you want to get different versions of the same system? Isn't it a waste of money to get the same thing? And to me, it doesn't. I mean, obviously, if you're not a collector, you're not going to understand. But for me, I love having the different versions of all the systems, like the Game Boy colors. I'm trying to get all the different colors boxed and complete. So far, I've got 3 of them. You know, for me, that is really cool. It's really exciting when I get a new one. It's fun. I like looking for them. And to me, it's not a waste of money because it's for my collection. If you're just a gamer, if you don't collect, you just like to play games, I can definitely understand why you would see that as a waste of money. But for me, like, I even have the same copies of the same game. Like, I've got Halo 2, the regular one, but I've also got Halo 2 in the Steelbook. So, I mean, for me, it's all about collecting purposes. I love to have the different colors. I think it looks cool when you display them all, and you have, like, all the different colored Game Boy cameras on the shelf. I'm trying to get those too. I've got 2 so far, and I just think it looks really cool when you display them, and to me, it's not a waste of money. Excuse me. I'm going to pause here for a second. Sorry about that. I have allergies, so when I get a cough, it gets pretty terrible. My next question comes from Cynical Enigma, another great YouTuber, one of my good friends on here. And he says, he has 3 questions. First one is, do you think SpongeBob is metal? And I do. If you don't watch SpongeBob, you can probably laugh at the question or the answer and think I'm an idiot. But if you watch SpongeBob, you know that some pretty crazy stuff goes on. And there's an episode where they actually feature Pantera. And at the beginning it says music by Pantera. It shows their logo. It's on fire. And then I think it's the one where Sandy's going into hibernation, so she wants SpongeBob to basically live it up with her before she does, and they're doing like extreme sports and like downhill clam boarding through like obstacle courses and everything, and they're playing Pantera in the background. It's pretty cool. So there's got to be at least one person working at Nickelodeon that likes metal and is trying to incorporate it with SpongeBob. And besides that, SpongeBob's just a funny show. I grew up watching it, so I'm glad that it's still on. I've got season 6 on DVD that I found at the pawn shop, and I'll pick up the other ones if I see them cheap. It's a great show. Next question: what game system do you want to complete your collection for this year? I'm guessing. Well, when I posted the video asking for the questions, it was 2011. Now it's 2012. Or I think it was 2011. I don't know, but basically, by the end of 2012, I don't think I'll complete any, honestly, because I'm going for complete collections. But if I had to guess, it'd probably be Nintendo 64 because there are only 296 carts, and 296 games. There's obviously more carts if you include not for resales and variants and stuff like that, but there's 296 games. I am currently at 81, I believe, and I've got most of the popular slash expensive ones out of the way. Um, Obviously, I still need Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. I still need Worms Armageddon, StarCraft 64, International Superstar Soccer 2000, and Bomberman 64: The Second Attack. But I do have most of the other expensive ones. You know, I've got all the Mario games. I've got both Zeldas, and then I've got both regular and collector's editions of Ocarina of Time. I've got Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, Kirby, Super Smash Brothers, all the Marios. Like I said, Mario Party 1, 2, 3, Mario 64, Mario Kart, Dr. Mario, Paper Mario. Um, I've got Harvest Moon. I've got Ogre Battle. I've got Aiden Chronicles. I've got a lot of the expensive ones, so I think that one will be really close, but I highly doubt that I'll complete it because, you know, Finn Gamer took him forever just to get a Sculptor's Cut manual, and it cost him a lot of money for that, so I'll probably be a lot closer by the end of 2012, but I'm pretty sure that I won't be completing anything this year because that system has probably the least amount of games that out of the systems I collect for, that one has the least amount of games, and you know, it's my favorite, so I'm kind of collecting more for that, so I'll be pretty close. His last question is, any kick-ass concerts you looking forward to going to this year? And um, I live in Orlando, and most of the cool concerts go to Tampa, which is like an hour or two away, and I don't drive, so it'd be pretty hard for me to get out there, especially since I don't know very many people out here yet, and I don't really know anybody that listens to metal. Um, so, I mean, there are tons of concerts I'd love to go to that are coming up, and if they're coming to Orlando, I mean, I can try and figure out a way to go. I'd love to go. I just don't know how I would. But there's a pretty cool tour coming. I don't know when it's coming or where, but it's Devil Drivers headlining. I really don't care about them at all, but Dying Fetus is playing. 3 Inches of Blood is playing. Job for a Cowboy's playing. There's a few other bands, but you know, I love those 3 bands, and it'd be awesome to go see them. Even though I've seen Job for a Cowboy a couple times, I've seen Dying Fetus a few times. I've never seen 3 Inches of Blood, and I don't care about Devil Driver. I think Impending Doom might be playing. Never seen them, but you know, there's tons of concerts and shows all the time. It's just they usually go to Tampa, and it's too far for me to get on my bicycle. Next question comes from DMB Shooter 1, and he says, "What is your favorite gaming franchise?" My favorite gaming franchise is probably gonna have to be Mario, which is probably a lame answer, but Mario 64 is my favorite game of all time. I really enjoy Super Mario World. I enjoy Yoshi's Island. I enjoy all the Mario Kart games, all the Mario Party games, and Super Mario Sunshine. I haven't played Mario Galaxy too much, but I definitely enjoy more Mario games than anything else, so I'm going to have to say that's my favorite. As far as the coolest franchise, I would have to say either Zelda or Resident Evil, just because they're badass. I don't know what to say. His second question is favorite gaming character. And my favorite gaming character would probably have to be... I'm going to base this off of Super Smash Brothers. The characters I use are Fox, Captain Falcon, Link, and Luigi. And Luigi is actually my favorite character from Mario. Whenever we play Mario Party, I'm always Luigi. So I know he's kind of looked at as the lamer version of Mario, the scaredy cat, you know. But I really like Luigi. I know a lot of people do, and he's probably my favorite. Next question comes from, I think it's Boba Fett IM, and he says, congrats on the 500. Not a question, but thank you, man. Next question comes from Gareth Gotcha, and he says, PS3 or Xbox 360. And I like them both. I'm not really I'm not really into the newer games and everything, but I would have to say Xbox 360, just because I've played it way more. This is the PS3 that I have now is the second one I've ever had. I've probably had over 5 or 6 Xbox 360s just because I love the games, and I would always get the system. I'd get a bunch of games, I'd play it, then I wouldn't play it for a long time, so I'd sell it all off. But I like the Halo games. I like Call of Duty, but I'm not like a huge fan. Like, I've never played Halo Reach. I've never played Black Ops or Modern Warfare 3. I'm just not that into it. To me, they're just repeats of the older games, and there's no point in me even trying to play online because I just die every 10 seconds. So I'm not really trying to keep up with them. But I do enjoy the Xbox 360 more, although I do love the Blu-ray capabilities of the PS3 because I have a few Blu-rays right now. I haven't been buying many because I didn't have a PS3. I'll probably try and get more now that I have one. But I love movies and TV shows, so I like watching those on Blu-ray and everything, so that's pretty cool. But Xbox 360 is going to have to be my answer. Next up is from Johnson Boba, and he says, what is your favorite character out of all the Final Fantasy series? And I actually have not played most of them. I've played 7, 8, and 9, and that's really about it. But out of those ones, my favorite character is going to have to be the Black Mage. I know that you can kind of give him your own name. I always called him Virgil. That's a game that I used to play on the PS1 before we got the Nintendo 64 back when I was a kid. My dad used to watch me play that, and I just always thought he was really cool. I think his design's really cool. I don't know, he's just a cool little character. And then he says, what is your favorite weapon and attachment to use on Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops? And like I said, I've never played either of them, so I don't really have a favorite. I'm just not that into shooters, for one, because they're all just kind of repeats of the same game to me. But I played World at War a lot. I played Nazi Zombies, and I beat the campaign with Cassidy. We stayed up one night, played the game straight. We didn't even take a break. Beat the game from start to finish. But Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops is over my head for now. Last question from him is, how many games have you not beaten out of your collection? I've got over 700 games. I've probably beaten 10 at the most. When I play a game, I'm not setting out to beat the game. I'm just setting out to enjoy it and have some fun. So I can probably count the games I've beaten on both hands. Obviously, Mario 64 I've beaten tons of times. I've beaten all the Pokemons on the Game Boy tons of times. I've never even beaten Banjo-Kazooie, and that's one of my favorite games of all time. Most of the games I have not beaten, most of the games I've never even played, but, I do play every once in a while, but it seems to me the games that I'm playing are games I've played before. Like I said, I'm just more of a collector than a gamer, but I do enjoy them. Next question, this is second to last, comes from Purple Cobalt SS, and he says, how can you afford all the games you purchase? And I think I've answered this a couple times in the comments of videos, but basically, before I moved to Florida, the way that I was affording games is I was buying and selling games at the same time. I started off with one Nintendo 64 with a few games, and from that I've gotten all this, and I have not had a real job while I've been collecting at all. So the only money that I've gotten that has not been from games has been from birthdays or Christmas, which, as you can imagine, is not enough to buy all this stuff. So buying and selling games has given me tons of the games I have, which is pretty cool. But now that I'm in Florida, I'm going to school, and I have living expense checks that come. So that is what I've been using to buy the games recently. Although in the past few weeks I have been buying a lot of games to resell, because I've realized if I'm going to be buying games for my living expenses, you know, I might as well get ones that I can resell at the same time so I can recoup a little bit of that money. So that's basically how I get the games. And also I do get pretty good deals on stuff most of the time. I go to the pawn shop a lot. Games are super cheap there. He gives me deals on them. And I go to the flea market, go to Goodwill. Not so much here in Florida, but when I was in Vancouver, I went to Goodwill all the time. Um, some of the box stuff I do buy off eBay, but you know, I kind of counteract that with the stuff that I buy and sell. And then his other question is, how much do you think you spent on games last year? Last year being 2011, which is mostly the entire time I've been collecting. So I can't really say if I were to factor in what I've sold also, I have no idea, but I know I've spent probably at least 10 grand, but at the same time, you know, I've probably made I've probably made a lot more than that in selling the stuff too, because, you know, like when I bought the big bundle from that collector, I gave him $900 for everything, but I turned around, I sold all the Sega stuff. I still have some left that I'm trying to sell, but just from the Sega stuff that I sold off, I made more than double what I paid for the whole bundle, and I kept all the Nintendo stuff. So things like that definitely bring the total down that I've actually spent, if you want to look at it like that. And then the last question comes from RPG Machine 86, and he says, "What's your favorite RPG?" And my favorite RPG might surprise some people, but it's Batten Kaitos Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean for the GameCube. I played this game when I had my GameCube the first time when I was a kid. I played this game, and I really like it. I went back and played it like maybe 5 or 6 months ago. Started playing it again, and it's just a great game. It's a card-based, turn-based fighting. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's my favorite RPG, probably of all time. I do like Paper Mario, but Batten Kaitos is basically my favorite. So that's it for the answers to all your questions. I really appreciate all the support once again that you guys have been giving me, and sorry that I sound really stuffy, but like I said, I have allergies. And yeah, so thank you once again for all the support, all the comments. I really appreciate it. Whenever I hit my next milestone, I'll probably do 750. I'll do a contest, and I'll make sure to have some really awesome prizes. I've seen some other contests going on from people that, like, when I see their prizes, I'm just blown away that they'd be giving away stuff like that, and I think it'd be really cool to do something like that. So I'm gonna try really hard to to get something in mind for that, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Just keep an eye out for that, and yeah, that's it for now. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.